described you as too much, too intense, too emotional, too passionate, too opinionated. I see that reaction a lot. That small pause people make usually tells me that that phrase has followed them around for a while. Let me explain something interesting about that phrase. When people say someone is too much, they're rarely describing an objective trait. What they're actually describing is their own tolerance for intensity. Every person has a different emotional bandwidth. Some people, they prefer very predictable interactions, very surface level conversations, things that feel easy to navigate. Others enjoy depth, curiosity, big ideas, strong emotions, long conversations that wander into interesting places. When those styles collide, the simpler explanation people reach for is, you're too much. But psychologically, what they often mean is, I don't have the capacity to meet you at that level. Now here's something important. Your brain has probably been trying to solve this by doing something called social shrinking. That's when someone starts speaking less, hiding enthusiasm, downplaying their personality. Sometimes they even pretend not to care about things they actually care deeply about, all to avoid making others uncomfortable. But over time, that creates anxiety because the brain starts believing, if I show my real self, people will reject me. But that belief isn't always accurate. Sometimes the issue isn't your personality. It's simply that you've been in environments that don't match your intellectual or emotional energy. And the moment you meet people who appreciate that energy, the label too much disappears. So today, we're not trying to make you smaller. We're helping your nervous system understand something. You're not too much. You've just been around people with smaller comfort zones. Let's take a slow, deep breath together. Inhale and exhale. Good. You're allowed to exist fully. Now I want to ask you something. When people first started saying you were too much, what did you start doing differently? Did you begin holding back your excitement? Maybe you stopped sharing certain thoughts, or softened your opinions in conversations. Many people begin doing something very subtle when that phrase gets repeated. When they start editing themselves in real time before speaking their mind. They ask, is this going to be too much? Should I tone this down? Should I keep this to myself? That kind of consistent monitoring takes energy. Your brain is scanning for other people's reactions. It's watching facial expressions, listening for tone shifts, trying to measure whether you're still within someone else's comfort zone. And after a while, that becomes exhausting because instead of simply existing, you're managing how much of yourself is allowed to appear, I want you to notice something. The qualities people often call too much tend to come from people who feel things deeply, people who notice details in others and things others overlook, people who are curious, emotionally perceptive, thoughtful. Those qualities can actually reflect a very responsive, aware mind. You're noticing more about the world. You're processing things deeply. You're connecting ideas and emotions in ways others might not. And in the right environments, those qualities are incredibly valuable. They make someone empathetic, insightful, someone people feel comfortable opening up to. But when those traits exist in environments that prefer emotional simplicity, they can feel overwhelming to others. Not because they're wrong, but because they require more engagement. Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who didn't think you were too much? Someone who seemed to enjoy your enthusiasm, your curiosity, your depth. Think about that person for a moment. Around them, does your body feel different? Do you feel more relaxed? Like you don't need to measure every word. That feeling is your nervous system recognizing psychological safety. Psychological safety is where personalities expand, where people feel like they don't need to shrink to be accepted. And that tells us something important. Your personality may not be the issue. The environment may simply have not been the right match. Some people move comfortably in deep emotional spaces. Others prefer lighter interactions. Neither is wrong. But when those ranges don't match, misunderstandings happen. And often, the person with the larger emotional bandwidth ends up feeling like the problem, when in reality, it's just two different nervous systems, and they're trying to interact. If someone spends years shrinking themselves to fit smaller emotional spaces, a quiet kind of loneliness can appear. Because the version of you that others see isn't quite the full version of who you are. And people naturally want to be understood, not just tolerated. So instead of asking, how do I become less? You might ask, where do I feel the most comfortable being myself? What makes it easy for me to express my thoughts? Where does my energy feel welcomed? Those questions help your brain look for alignment instead of correction. And alignment is much healthier for the nervous system, because your personality doesn't need to disappear. It just needs the right spaces to exist. When people finally find those spaces, something interesting happens. The same qualities that people once called too much become things people appreciate. Your enthusiasm becomes contagious. Your curiosity becomes interesting. Your emotional depth becomes comforting. Same personality, different audience. Let's take another slow breath. Inhale and exhale. You're not too much. You're someone with depth. And depth simply needs the right environments to be appreciated. I'm really glad you came in today. You're doing just fine.